What is up, my guys and gals? It's your boy SJ Raku. Today we're going to be talking about the Carrie news that I got from 3C Films. So I've already seen the video. I just want to explain my thoughts on it and how I think it's going to go down. Whoa, that was a really nasty stutter. So yeah, without further ado, roll the intro.
You take the battle and it's over, and that I've lost my composure, cause I'm staring into space. And now my heart's beating fast, like a maybe start a new chapter. I'll soon reveal the beast. There's a beast in my soul, and it wants to evolve. Keep on pushing me so I can end it. Now the words leave your tongue, where your death power comes from. Saying to do that things that you condemn to.
Since we're kind of on the horror train, we got a bunch of new details about Mike Flanagan's up-and-coming reimagining of Stephen King's Carrie. Oh, and I actually have something for that. I didn't get rid of all my Funko Pops. I kept the horror ones. And I have Funko Carrie. Well, along with a snippet of footage, we got some photos and a lot of details about what Mike Flanagan's new show is going to be like. And I think it's going to be very decisive, but kind of excited for what...
Okay, so right now, currently, I'm looking at Carrie's actress in this, I presume this is like a frame from the show or whatever. And I'm gonna be honest, I think this is like a Sissy Spacek situation where she's way too pretty to be playing the role. I'm not saying that Carrie has to be ugly, I'm just saying that she's got to be a plain Jane, and this is not a plain Jane. Now, I think what makes the issue even worse is that she does not have slender features like Sissy Spacek, which in turn causes the inability to make her scarier during the prom massacre, because that's what made Sissy Spacek so scary, is that she had a super slender face, which added to the lighting, which in turn made her otherworldly and just overall terrifying. I don't see that happening with this actress. I can't remember her name. Because as pretty of a girl she is, I'm afraid that it's just not going to work. And that's saying something. Because I let Sissy Spacek slide because Sissy Spacek was actually terrifying during the prom massacre. I don't think this is going to be terrifying. As lovely as it would be to imagine that, I don't think it's happening. But that's not the only set of thoughts I have, because there's also a really big change that he's fixing to talk about in a moment that I think I'm really divided on.
It's going down. All right, so for one, Mike Flanagan says this is not going to be a faithful adaptation. He, in fact, says the Brian De Palma movie, which is my favorite version of Carrie, is already the best adaptation of the original story. He says instead this new 8-episode series is going to create new mythology based on the original work. The show is going to be set in modern day where technology is going to play into the bullying of Carrie. So social media, cell phones, online bullying, that kind of stuff. Honestly makes sense for a modern Carrie. They have also changed Carrie's origin. Instead of being this isolated, shy, timid girl because of the way she's treated at home, Carrie has actually been homeschooled all her life. Not just that, it sounds like she's been living in isolation, and it isn't until the death of her father that police then become aware, hey, this kid should be in school getting an education. Forcing...
Yeah, I don't... Okay, so I'm not against that change, but at the same time, I think it kind of softens the plot too much. So to explain the original plot, for those who don't know, is that Carrie's mother is a religious zealot who abuses the crap out of her daughter. And it's like it's anti-Catholic messaging and all that. And, as you guys know, I'm Catholic, so that kind of sucks. On one hand, I think it's nice to get rid of the anti-Catholic messaging because, I'm Catholic and it just feels kind of insulting to do that. On the other hand, I don't want to soften the story. I think that's what made Carrie Carrie, is that her story is like super rough and super gritty and it just does not end well. That's what made her story different compared to like other characters, because her mother straight up abuses the crap out of her in all the three films, by the way, all three versions of the story. And while I do like that we're removing the anti-Catholic messaging, I also think that that's going to ruin it a bit, because to be honest, I feel like this is just going to be one of those stories where it's going to be like, the girl with the glasses, like, quote unquote, super ugly, and then she takes them off and all of a sudden she's super pretty. I really hope they're not going for that angle, and if they are, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Carrie to go to school where she's interacting with kids for the first time. So Carrie will actually be portrayed a lot more eager, innocent, and kind of excited to explore the world until, I guess, all that.
Okay. So I'm just going to straight up say this. She's not going to be more innocent. The reason why I say this is because the Carrie in the films, specifically the Brian De Palma film that he was talking about earlier, that was the most innocent Carrie you're going to get, because her mother hasn't told her anything about, the birds and the bees or just anything about the world. That's just how it is. So, yeah. Like, how can you get more innocent and pure than that? Like, because Carrie's learning about the teenage world for the first time. And I understand they're going for that, but like, not all homeschooled kids are that innocent. And that's what I don't like, is that if they're going to go for that whole, homeschooled kids are innocent act, it's not going to work out well. I'm not going to like it. I think it's probably going to really annoy me and get on my nerves. That's how I see it. So, yeah.
It comes crumbling down. I actually kind of dig that change. That sounds actually kind of cool. Some iconic things are still being kept the same. Mike Flanagan hints that the pig's blood scene will still happen, except it'll be the events that lead up to that will be different, including the prom itself. Probably, though, the biggest...
That piece of news right there actually worries me the most.
Change will be...
Stop! God. My bad. Technical difficulties. Alright. So, that piece of news right there actually worries me the most, mainly because they're leaving it as vague. And the prom massacre, along with things leading up to said prom, are the most important parts of Carrie's story. Meaning, if they're going to have that much creative interpretation to the point they are leaving it vague, I am extremely worried, because I don't trust that level of vagueness.
Except it'll be the events that lead up to... Controversial change will be that they will be exploring the telekinetic powers amongst other people. Yeah, I guess here in the original Stephen King book, Stephen King described it as the TK gene and hinted that Carrie isn't the only person with these telekinetic abilities, and there's more out there. The show is going to explore...
Yeah, no. That's always been a thing with Stephen King. A lot of his books are interconnected into the same universe. And that's always been his shtick. He was like the interconnected universe guy before Pixar even existed. But what I will say is that, as lovely as that sounds, I'm going to play this next part and I'll let you know what I think of that.
Or these other people with similar abilities and how Carrie is part of that group. I guess it kind of makes sense if there's a world where telekinetic powers exist and you find out you have them, you go online to Reddit and be like, anybody else can move things with their mind? I could see that happening, but I do feel like some of that stuff takes away from the horror aspects of it. But also, this being the Stephen King universe, would not be surprised if they also explore people with the shining abilities. Since
So he just described it perfectly. Like, that's what my concern was that it's going to take away from the horror aspect of it and that they're going to pull some stupid internet stuff. Because let's be honest. Because there's two ways it's going to go. Either it's going to be really fantastic and I'm going to love it, or it's going to be really horrible and I'm going to hate it. But judging by how vague they're being with the movie, I'm very worried. Because I love the Carrie films a lot, and I think they're one of the greatest pieces of horror media out there. And I would hate it for Amazon to just absolutely butcher it. So, yeah.
Stephen King fans like this connected universe stuff. It's also noted here, Mike Flanagan says Stephen King was actually excited about a different approach to Carrie. So, you know what?
Okay, so what I'm going to say is that as lovely as Stephen King is excited, I'm not taking Stephen King's word for it. The reason why I say this is because Stephen King is not a very good person at all. And if he's excited, I'm not going to take his word for it. I mean, while he is the original creator, he did write Carrie to be a anti-Catholic piece of media. So, and it's, well, not just anti-Catholic too, just anti-Christian in general. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad, it's just saying that it's not right to be creating spite media towards groups of people. So yeah, that's what I think when it comes to Stephen King's excitement, because I don't really take his word for it. And frankly, I don't take a lot of original creators' excitement seriously. Mainly because they can be excited about something and then it just be absolutely horrible hot garbage. So yeah.
I'm actually okay with all of this because I think my first worry whenever this was first announced was why? We already have the Brian De Palma movie and I like the Chloe Moretz film. It's like, how much more deeper can you get? But now if you're kind of reimagining it, modernizing.
Okay, so before letting him finish, I'm just curious if he's seen the Angela Bettis one. Because the Angela Bettis one is really good up until the third act. Third act was horrible, but yeah, I'll let him continue.
And changing some things, but sticking to the core elements, okay, then you have a reason to exist. And I don't think I'd feel as confidently that this will be okay if it wasn't Mike Flanagan. But all right, I'm kind of really looking forward to this now.
Yeah. So he's done talking now. And I don't know. I don't remember much of Mike Flanagan. I've heard his name before. And if he has made some horror films or just any films in general that I like, then I might be a bit more trusting. But for the most part, I've gone from very excited for this adaptation because I'd kill for the most book-accurate approach to the film because as good as the Brian De Palma film is, it is not the most accurate. And then, of course, the Chloe Moretz film isn't the most accurate either because it's using technology and all that, like modern-day technology. But, yeah. My excitement has died down, and I'm actually very concerned. Because, for the record, Amazon already had its incident with The Boys where it was like, it started off extremely good, and then it fell off in the last two seasons. I've never seen The Boys. I wouldn't know about that. I'm just taking that from other people that I've heard talk about it. People like my parents and all that. So, yeah, that's another reason why I'm concerned about this. I mean, okay. So, in terms of non-faithful adaptations of certain things, I can be excited for it, and I like when new writers, new filmmakers take the original source material and actually make their own spin on it, as long as it's a good spin. But because I don't remember anything about Mike Flanagan and have just only ever heard his name, I'm very concerned. And that's all I gotta say. So yeah, that's essentially all about the Carrie movie right now, and I'm probably gonna go watch the footage later, off screen, and I'll let you know what I think of that. But yeah, that's all for now, and this is SJ Raiku signing off. Peace!